good, folks? Welcome to another episode of the so just sadness. Welcome to another episode of the Cover One Film Room, the show that gives you the hows and the whys behind the good and the bad of the Buffalo Bills. I am one of your two hosts, Anthony Prohaska, joined as always by Eric Turner and Eric. We sit here to break down several pieces
Yeah.
of film. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Related to the Buffalo Bills versus the Kansas City Chiefs divisional round matchup, a game that will be the last for the Buffalo Bills in the 2023-2024 season, because the Bills, as the title of this episode states, once again fell short in the playoffs against the Kansas City Chiefs. They continue to just be that dragon that they cannot slay for whatever reason, and there were some unfortunate variables leading into this game and things that just didn't fall the Bills' way, which seems to, again, be representative of their matchups in the playoffs. But nonetheless, Eric, despite the sadness and any potential frustration, we are here to break everything down from that game, especially the important pieces. Even though the season's done, there are important takeaways from this game, putting those takeaways into perspective of the season as a whole, especially defensively for the Buffalo Bills. And I think it's important to do that to really officially and properly close the chapter on this season and then propel us forward into the offseason.
Yeah, this is that type of show where we're not only going to, look back at this game and cover this game, objectively, very critically. In this one, there's a lot of stuff that we need to go over on both sides of the ball. But in order to move into the offseason, as you said, we kind of have to cover this and some of these things that pop up, put them in, in the back of your mind, because the offseason has officially started. It starts for us this coming Monday. We hit the road for Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl. So this game is I'm ready to go through the film, go through the stats, kind of break down what happened in that loss, and then put it behind us as we move forward, again, going into the offseason. So while it's not going to be a ton of fun, it is very much needed and necessary to go back and look at this and once again figure out what went wrong against the Chiefs.
You know what's funny is the whole day I was thinking, like, man, if they win, what do we do for the film room in Mobile and like disguise coverage in Mobile?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And then when they lost, I was like, guess we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah.
But looking forward to Mobile. Again, another potential opportunity to kind of just get past everything and move forward. But Eric, looking back at this game high level, before we start to dive into the nitty gritty and the bones of it, what kind of stands out to you leaving this game? Is it player related? Is it coaching related? Is it larger picture and how it ties into the season? Like, what's the kind of the one thing on your brain that sticks there coming out of this loss to Kansas City?
Well, it's hard to ignore a few things. Obviously, injuries. Injuries bit them again this year, specifically on the defensive side of the ball against an offense and quarterback that is elite. And it's hard to win against Patrick Mahomes. It's hard to win against him with some crucial parts not in the lineup. So again, not an excuse, but it's just a given, and you're going to see some of the film and how important and how big of a issue it was on that side of the ball on the defensive side. The other thing that, we talked about before going live that, again, is not an excuse, but it's just a reality, is the fact that the Bills they're behind 2 days of rest than the Chiefs. And I do think that played a part in this game, especially with how physical the offensive line and even the tight ends, for that matter, were for the Chiefs versus the Bills front seven. And we're going to see, again, a bunch of those plays, and you're going to see the Chiefs dominate up front. And I think some of those guys that we've been, really pumping up the last few weeks when we're talking the interior defensive line, those guys got pushed around and probably the worst they have all season. And so those two things stood out to me in this game, aside from the schematic stuff that we're going to talk about, aside from some of the uncharacteristic stuff that happened on that defensive side of the ball. So that's what, really stands out. And again, when we get to the film, you'll understand what I'm talking about.
And I'm in a similar boat. I'll start with the rest piece, and because I think that's a great connection that you made. Like, we saw them get beat up front from a defensive perspective in a way that we had not all year. And they've played physical offensive lines and good offensive lines.
Mhm.
They haven't been, granted, like there's been times where they haven't been structurally sound or schematically sound, but it was rare for them to just get physically dominated and pushed around. And it's hard to kind of not immediately think like, I wonder how much the rest kind of played into that.
Right.
And then the bigger one for me was your first piece. And it's not, crying over spilled milk. Injuries happen. It's part of the game, especially one like football. But I think such a big piece for me is like, I'm just going to sit here. I'm still doing it now, like wondering how this game would have gone if the Bills were just a little healthier on the defensive side, especially
Mhm.
that linebacker position where they
Yeah.
even, and you could tell like Bernard being out was a big deal, but you could tell Dodson wasn't healthy with his shoulder. And then even on the back end, like Rasul Douglas, you could tell he was kind of really trying to gut it out, like the way he was laboring at times out there, and then missing Christian Benford and all the pieces that just kind of led to that. It would be disappointing to lose no matter what, but I feel like it's more frustrating to also have that kind of what if. Like I would rather sit here and be like, well, we were full strength. It is what it is. Like we lost,
Yeah.
but having that little bit of wonder and thinking like, man, just because again, they at the end of the day, for as much as this loss sucks, they lost by 3 points. And who
Yeah.
knows what happens if Allen hits that throw to Khalil Shakir and he doesn't get bumped.
Bean's right. He did say that. He's like, we had the opportunity to tie or win that game. So
Absolutely.
the gap between these two teams, it was not, as McDermott alluded to, it was not what it used to be. They're
Oh,
close.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and despite the fact that they continue to lose in the playoffs to the Chiefs, there is something to be said for them beating them in the regular season
Right.
every time. Like and just things don't fall their way, but they're not getting blown out by the Chiefs every postseason. And even in the regular season, the Chiefs are usually really close to the Bills. It's neck and neck. It's just unfortunate that the chips continue to fall the way that they have come playoff time, which is more important than the regular season pieces. But yeah, and I see everybody coming. I just see Richard's comment coming through and just being ugh. Like I read it like the Charlie Brown
Yeah.
voice of him just being disappointed. But Eric, let's start on the defensive side of the ball. And you labeled it perfectly, just an uncharacteristic performance from this defense, who even when they have been at their worst, quote unquote, this is a team that has had the ability to kind of patchwork it together and really limit offenses, especially from an explosive
Mhm.
standpoint. But they got gouged in a multitude of ways in this game. The drive stats are really tremendous. Like with the time of possession the Bills had, like they're grinding out like 8-minute drives to get a touchdown,
Yeah.
and the Chiefs are like 6 plays, 75 yards,
Right.
touchdown. It was just
Chunk,
such a
chunk, chunk.
yeah,
Yeah.
on the ground in the pass, Mahomes scrambling and breaking something down, things just happening based off of a schematic advantage and isolation. But yeah, this Bills, gotta stop. Appreciate you, Bob. Thank you for being here. And thank you for the super chat. He just gave us $5 just because. So
Thanks, Bob.
appreciate you. That's awesome. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. But yeah, Eric, an uncharacteristic performance from this Bills defense. And it really showed right from the get-go, just with how they were gouged consistently, and especially as the game went on.
Yeah, they gave up 8 explosive plays. That's the most all season. They had 3 rushes of over 20 yards, 1 scramble over 20 yards, and the other 4 were obviously through the passing game, which we're going to break down. Very uncharacteristic. Some of the guys that we hyped up the entire season that were sure tacklers and great run defenders, didn't have really good games. Again, you'll see that in the film. But where I want to start this conversation is personnel, because it's a hot topic. And honestly, it's been a hot topic for many years because it's one we talk about a lot because we love Taron Johnson and the nickel, 5 DBs on the field, regardless of what the offense sends out at them. And the
Mhm.
Chiefs went right at this entire discussion and entire strategy. So in this game, listen to this: 12 personnel. So 1 running back, 2 tight ends. Chiefs ran that 34% of the time in this game against the Bills. And on average, they run that 27.6%. So a little higher in that department. Now, 13 personnel, they ran 23.4% of the time when they average 9.1%. So that was the big tick up when it comes to personnel usage in this game. And under 13 personnel, they only passed it 3 times. They were 2 for 3 for 15 yards. So they did it primarily to run the ball, and they had 7 designed rushes for 80 yards and 2 rushes over 12 yards. And of course, the Bills, as I said, they love to match with nickel. And given the linebacker situation in this game because of those injuries, that was a big thing in this game. But I don't want people to think, because a lot of these national media types are saying, oh, it's because of Taron Johnson that the Bills were giving up these many yards. Actually, that's not true. Now, it's a philosophical thing. It's been a thing for McDermott of playing nickel versus 12 and 13, but it's not technically because of Taron Johnson that these big plays were happening in the Chiefs, against the Chiefs, and the entire season, which we're going to break down some of those stats here in a minute.
Yeah, and he's been honestly one of the better Bills run defenders through the majority of the year. Like year after year, we talk about him all the time, like how he plays like he thinks he's like 6'2", 250, the way he takes on linemen and shoots gaps. And he's a consistent piece for them, even in the run. And we saw earlier in the year, especially that healthier the Bills were, when it was Milano and Bernard, and when teams would go a little heavier, they'd bring in Tyrell Dodson. Even when Milano went down, and it was Dodson and Bernard, they bring in Dorian Williams or another or a third linebacker to go a little more base. We saw them start to get away from just pure nickel all the time. But like you said, it's not because of Taron Johnson, and especially in this game, the Bills were at such a disadvantage on that second level, and the Chiefs really used that heavier personnel grouping to pinpoint and create those mismatches and those advantages, especially in the middle of the field and in the spine. And it, by extension, then brings Taron Johnson into the conversation and nickel into that conversation. But exactly to your point, it's not a Taron Johnson problem.
You'll see. It's not Taron Johnson at the point of attack or Taron Johnson in the A or B gaps, which he does play from time to time.
Yeah.
But I just think that narrative that was pushed out this week, it made it sound like it was a Taron Johnson issue when it absolutely isn't. And that's kind of what I'm talking about here. So let's get into some of these stats. Okay, so the following defensive EPA numbers and stats we're looking at, courtesy of True Media, are against 12 and 13 personnel in the regular season when the Bills play nickel. All right. And so if you look at some of this, it's going to tell you the story about how teams attack the Bills. And they do attack the Bills when the Bills are in nickel. They attack with 12 and 13 personnel. So overall, they've faced this personnel grouping 198 plays. That's the fourth most in the NFL. All right. So that's something to keep in mind. That's high. So it's obvious the Bills like to play nickel versus 12 and 13 personnel. Now, if you look at some of the rushes, the actual total rushes, I think it's off to the right here. Actually, might be a different screen. We'll get to it in a minute. The defensive total EPA, 31.68. That's second overall. That's good. So there's a misconception out there that the Bills are bad when they have nickel in versus 12 and 13 personnel. Look at some of these numbers. They have a second ranking there. Total pass EPA, they're first overall. Pass throw EPA, they're first overall. I mean, pass sack EPA, fifth overall. Scrambles, they probably could do some work there, which I think that's always kind of been the case when they're expanding into coverages and, only rushing 4. Interception EPA, third overall. But as expected, they do take a hit when it comes to the run game a little bit. So total run EPA 0.74, that's 23rd. And when you're looking at non-rush QB, so again, just rushes by running backs and even some wide receivers, they have a 4.09 EPA, so that's 18. So they're just below average in that department. So it's no surprise when you look at the passing versus the rushing, when teams are running with 12 and 13 personnel versus nickel, they hurt a little bit when it comes to the run. And a lot of that is the touchdowns that opponents have scored. But this is a passing league. This is McDermott's philosophy. He cares more about, defending the pass and defending the run. Now, there can go a drive. Adam, our analytics guy, always talks about, like, this is kind of inviting the run, right? Yeah, like that's inviting the run. And EPA wise, that's a win more times than not. Analytics, that's what they want. Like, hey, if you want to run the ball when this is a passing league, by all means do it. But they had guys like Matt Milano and Bernard and Taron Johnson to create some of those disruptive plays, to disrupt some of those drives and get off the field. But in this game against the Chiefs, they weren't able to do so, and it really hurt them. And again, it does come back to injuries. You cannot deny that fact.
Yeah, and I was going to say, to connect to that piece, like when they are in nickel, and even when they're healthy at the linebacker spot, given the fact that their second level is often Taron Johnson, Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, they're undersized for a second level grouping, especially when they're going to play the run. But that plays into their style philosophically and schematically, where they like to wet one gap and penetrate and get upfield. And that's part of the reason year after year they're towards the top of, stuff percentage against the run, and stuffs our run. They go for 0 or less yards. And on this
Havoc
season,
rates, right? That too,
there you
right?
go. Yep,
Yeah.
all those pieces. And this year, per SIS, they were 7th in stuff percentage at 21.8. And the reason they're consistently able to generate havoc and chaos and create negative plays for the offense is because of that undersized ability lends itself to speed and one gapping and penetrating and attacking and getting forward. And then all of a sudden you get a team into 2nd and 12 or 2nd and 13. And then you're playing into the strength of this defense, which is their passing ability, going out of nickel and generating that. And again, I think even within the nickel conversation in Taron Johnson, again, as the film will show, they lost so bad up front on the defensive line that's where so much of the source point was, whether in the past, but especially against the run. That's where a lot of this conversation starts and needs to be, rather than just focusing on Taron Johnson and thinking he's the source point, he's the pain point for the struggles that happen in this game, and then extending that systematically.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things like, sure, they're giving up 4.7 yards per rush, which is 26th overall when they see 12 or 13 personnel when they're nickel. Like, not good. But again, if you're only getting that versus 10 or 12 yard plays in the passing game, like, that's overall EPA wise, that's a win in this day and age in today's football. The issue isn't that, hey, maybe they should be bringing a linebacker in. Like, I will totally agree with, yeah, there are times versus certain teams where, hey, and this game is one of them. If they're running 13 personnel and they've only passed it 3 times, but they've run it 8 times, and they're gashing you, like, now's a good time to pivot. Like, it's okay to pivot to 3 linebackers. And again, a lot goes into that in this specific game because of the injuries and even injuries that happened in this game. So, but again, I think it's fair to debate that philosophically when you're facing 198 plays on the season, the 4th most of nickel versus 12 and 13. Obviously, it's a philosophical or strategic thing by McDermott and opposing offenses. But the thing that I want them to focus on is, okay, reel it back a little bit, make it less than 198 plays. But if you look at the touchdown score, so there was 9 touchdowns scored. This is where the issue is. Okay, 9 touchdowns was the 2nd most when teams ran 12 or 13 personnel versus the Bills nickel. That's a lot. Now, if I bring up those 9 plays, if you look at the line of scrimmage column right here, look at that. It's the situations, and this is what I'm talking about. You got to adjust the slider a little bit when it comes to, hey, should we be in nickel or should we be on the field with base defense and 3 linebackers? Because if you look at some of these line of scrimmages, the top 2 are at the 17-yard line and 10-yard line. So, okay, high red zone, area, 17 and 10-yard line. But now the situations if the ball's at the 6 or at the 3, at the 2 or the 1, and the other team has 12 or 13 personnel in, probably a good idea to take Taron Johnson off the field. It's probably a good idea in the low red zone to take him out. So that is where the conversation should be. The situations that they take out Taron for a 3rd linebacker, and again, just certain teams that you play against, whether it's in your division, teams that like to run a lot of 12, maybe that 2nd tight end isn't a good pass receiver. Maybe you can, again, get more beef on the field to stop the run, because when teams run these personnel groupings, this is the big thing. Again, 198 plays on the season, 12 or 13 personnel versus nickel. 121 of those plays were rushes. That's a big difference. That's a tendency. You need to, again, change that slider a little bit, throw a 3rd linebacker on there in certain situations against certain teams.
Yeah, and I think you said it perfectly. That is the time where you want to have that situational piece. You want to have that matchup specific piece. Like if you got a team that's going to come in and they're heavy running the football, similar to what, I don't know, or even a team that, like what the Raiders like to do with, have a true fullback like Jakob Johnson on the field, and they have a tight end. So they're in, a 2 running back set, traditional I formation, but it's more of a run look than it is to create the pass. Okay, yeah, lean into more of those 3 linebacker sets. It's a very fair piece to kind of adjust that dial. But holistically, the way this defense is built, makes sense given today's day and age, given the style of football that is played today, and also how good Taron Johnson is. Like, he's an all-pro slot corner because of his ability to play the pass and man and zone and be able to come forward and fit the run. But there are 100%, and I think this is also part of a larger conversation where you always need to have to turn certain dials and push certain buttons come matchup times and situational times. And it could be a 3rd and short. It could be low red zone. It could be for an entire game based on the opponent you're going to play, like you were saying. And that's where it comes down to. It's just those little tweaks. It's those little adjustments that need to be made, not this wholesale schematic change or identity change for the defense.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I understand, I can rationalize McDermott and why he does it, especially if you're just talking 12 personnel. You see, they're very good against the pass against 12 personnel when they're in nickel. You prioritize that. Again, you gotta tweak that slider just a little bit, like old video games. You just tweak that slider a little bit, make it just a little bit different. And I think this was one of those games I would have loved to see them do that. Again, injuries were an issue in this game, but they're bringing 13, personnel, 3 tight ends, and you're seeing them run the ball, and they're getting these big plays that we're going to break down. Like, you got to do something different, and you got to do something different. And I will admit, schematically, maybe they didn't change the structure of their defense, especially if we're talking the run game. Hey, they gashed them for 25, 28 yards. But the next time they ran it, which we'll break down, you saw them make a slight change on how they fit up the run, and they stopped it, as you'll see. So they did make some schematic changes, but they didn't make the personnel changes to force the Chiefs to go somewhere else, because the Chiefs were a step ahead of them when it came to the run game. Anytime that, again, the Chiefs would explosive run, the Bills would stop that run the next time they ran it. Then they would go to another layer, and then they'd get a good chunk, 9, 10 yards, and then the Bills would stop it. So that was a chess game in this game. And before we get to the rushing game, though, Ant, I want to talk about the passing game. And of course, these injuries were a factor. And we saw that pretty early in this game, where somehow, it's pretty difficult to isolate a Mike linebacker, especially when you're talking, having a quarterback under center. But watch how the Chiefs and Andy Reid isolated AJ Klein on Travis Kelce early in the game here for 15 yards. Kelce knows exactly he's going to be matched up for Klein. This is how good they scripted this play. He goes right at him, pushes off, hooks it up, and the ball's right on him for 15 yards. And again, they're just moving the ball halfway through the first quarter.
Yeah, this one worried me because it was like one of the first ones where, or actually might literally be the first one where they went right at Klein. And then obviously we're going to get like the little full house backfield corner route from Kelce that's similar. And it's smart from Kansas City. Like, that this is a weakness and a vulnerability. And this honestly even isn't like, that's not even like the worst job ever from Klein, but you just know he doesn't have the athleticism and the legs to stick with Travis Kelce. And this is a smart thing if you're the Chiefs. Like, attack him, pinpoint him. And I think they tested him early on to kind of see, and obviously anticipating it, knowing what they were going to get coming into the matchup. But once they established that they had the advantage there and it was significant, you can tell that they started to build off of that going even further and attack.
And if we talk about the rest, I mean, picture this guy's situation. He's on the couch about to go on vacation. He gets a week of practice in, probably a short week, going into last week's game, and then again a short week for this. I bet you he wasn't even totally recovered. So this is Andy Reid, the Chiefs, finding a way to exploit the injury inside, the lack of rest, and of course just the matchup. Here's the full house backfield, that inverted diamond look, and again somehow out of this set, I've never seen. I don't think the Bills face this type of set. No. Maybe they have. I just can't remember.
This play design is beautiful.
I don't know how you even knew that you were going to get the matchup of Klein on Kelce, but they do. He runs a corner out from the backfield, and he gets matched up with Klein, and of course he wins. And Mahomes is able to even throw it up over the top of Williams for a 29-yard gain.
Yeah, and then this one has like the play action element. So you run that route out of the backfield, and then you also suck up Klein and you suck up Dorian Williams on the run action. So it's just like salt in the wound with this one, because like Klein's athleticism and speed is his biggest disadvantage, and you get him to come forward and then have to stop his feet, and all of a sudden he's trailing Travis Kelce trying to catch him. And then, like you said, like the way they're able to isolate it is because the routes that they have on the outside completely pull the corners. You can see Rasul Douglas going inside with MVS, and so there's just all that space over the top for Mahomes to put the ball over the top of AJ Klein. And good route from Kelce, good timing, but the design there, really beautiful stuff from Kansas City. Again, though, in that theme of understanding the weakness that the Bills have and attacking it and pinpointing it.
Yeah, and so I want to bring up two plays that kind of played off of each other. So second quarter, 10:49 on the clock. This is a 3rd and 6 situation, 8-yard gain, and the Chiefs only faced what 5 third downs the entire game, and this is one of them that they actually completed and converted. I want you to watch how. Let me get this out of the way. Rice hooks it up in between Taron Johnson and the safety that comes down here late, Cam Lewis. So it's just cover 3. It's cover 3. He's coming into the buzz area, and let me get this out of here. And this is your safety rolling to the post, but it's cover 3. It's literally cover 3. That's your deep corner, and you have just that stick route right here from Rashee Rice. But you can see that Taron Johnson's getting his hands on the number 2 there, taking speed off of that route. So his eyes are outside, and then he gets to the Mahomes, and that's why Mahomes is able to anticipate this throw. And he has space because Cam Lewis is kind of dropping down into that hook to curl area. So it's a very easy read pre to post snap for Mahomes, and he's able to convert this third down. Again, I think this is literally the only one that he completed or converted when we're talking third downs.
Yeah, they were 1 of 5. This was the one, and it's just wild that they put up 27 points and they faced 5 third downs. Like, and what was I think at one point they had faced it, like with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, the Bills had faced 10 fourth down or third downs, and the Chiefs had faced 4. Just again, going to that whole game script and piece. And yeah, you nailed it. Like the soft spot coverage, and Cam Lewis is buzzing down. He, based off of Rashee Rice's stem, he has to honor, like maybe he's coming inside, maybe he's going outside, like he has to honor the two-way go aspect of Rice, and then he's got his eyes on Mahomes. But it's just like you said, like Rashee Rice has the good feel. He sits down right in that spot between the flat defender and the hook curl defender, and it's a quick, nice, easy in rhythm gain versus that cover 3. And then on this one, the touchdown to Kelce, they get gouged again.
Yeah, but again, look at where they are on the field. Same exact spot. Another trip set, but it's more of a bunch set. They're condensed. Why do you think they want to do that? They want to expand post snap. So second quarter, 3:38 on the clock. As you said, the 22-yard touchdown to Travis Kelce. And I will say the Bills love to protect the middle of the field. It's obviously been a priority for them, for McDermott, going all the way back to his time in Carolina. And so I want to show you guys what happens on this play. They are up near the line of scrimmage. You can see the only safety really back is Hyde, but he doesn't spin there to the post till late. But the Bills, again, their eyes are playing zone. They have their eyes on the quarterback, and they're protecting the middle of the field. Well, this kind of hurts Taron Johnson on this play. As this guy hooks it up, he's like, okay, I'm going to hang tight right here because Patrick's looking at that. He's probably going to throw it. Well, I think that also told Dane, again, if this is cover 3, Jackson's really a flats player here. So him hugging tight here kind of opens up a window out here. I think Dane is playing off of that and saying, you know what? That guy's running a speed out. I need to hang a little tighter here. He falls for that eye candy, and the timing of the route by Kelce just matches up beautifully, and he's able to get behind Dane Jackson, the deep third defender, and they're able to score a touchdown on this play.
This was a weird one. Like during the game, I saw a lot of dialogue from people being like, "Oh, like whose fault? Who was at fault here? What happened here?" And I was like, "It's just cover 3, and they beat it." Like this is if you're Dane Jackson, before everybody wants to like jump on him, like, see, Dane sucks. Like Dane here is damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. Like if he falls off and goes with Kelce, it's going to be a first down to McCole Hardman on the outside, which obviously is better.
I'm okay with that, right?
Yes.
Because again, this defense is limit explosive, so it is uncharacteristic of Dane. He's usually a lot more consistent and steady when it comes to, especially zone defense. When it comes to his assignment and the overall strategy of this defense.
I mean, that's his whole thing. Like, he's very
Yeah.
responsible. He's very assignment sound. He's also a tremendous tackler. He missed several tackles in this game. He had a
Yeah.
very, I mean, he's a good representation or microcosm of the whole uncharacteristic performance of the defense in this one, because he had a very uncharacteristic performance. But exactly to the point, like, I'm okay with it too. Like, if you give up the catch to Mecole Hardman, come up, make the tackle, make them have to continue to, work the ball and be successful to find that touchdown. Don't give up the chunk play. Don't give up the touchdown. But this is the conflict that he gets put into. And, he's holding there with that flat route from Mecole Hardman, and Kelsey gets in behind him. He just gets put into conflict and gets it. You can even see Taron right there kind of pointing to him, being like,
Yeah.
you didn't need to, I'm guessing something along the lines of, you didn't need to stick with that. Like, you got to drop. And Dane knows that. Like, it's cover 3. You are the deep third player. That is your zone. Again, you're put into a bind. You're put
Think
into
about
conflict.
it. Say he does throw this to the flats. Taron could make
Undercut
this
it.
throw
Yeah.
much more difficult. So Taron, well,
And
he did
he's
protect the middle of
watching
the
it.
field. Yeah,
It
he
looks
is.
like Taron's even spacing
He's
it, like
drifting. Yeah, he's
anticipating
drifting too.
exactly. And we know how good he is with his spatial awareness and spacing out routes. And maybe that's even some of the communication there that you froze frame with Taron pointing. Maybe he was like, no, I had that. I was going underneath. But again, it's just, get put into conflict, and in a snap judgment, I don't know, 10th of a second, things happen and you get beat.
Yeah, speaking of getting beat, we're gonna get to the run defense. This is really gonna be the chunk.
Nice.
This is gonna be the chunk of a lot of these big plays that happen. And I hate this because the Bills defense is usually really good at taking one thing away or the other, whether it's the run game or the pass game. Like, they're usually good at taking one of those away, making you, play with one hand, as Belichick always says. They struggled in both areas, obviously. And we just highlighted a couple of the plays there in the passing game and how the Chiefs went ahead and attacked. But let's look at some of the run game stuff. Second quarter, 10:05 on the clock. This was a good run fit by the Bills, but I want you guys to pay attention to how the Chiefs built on this play. So watch as that motion happens, that little orbit motion, and they run that toss to Hardman, across the field. But that action, that motion, we always talk about, when you motion or shift, you change coverages. When you change coverages, you change run fits. And so what happens here is Poyer drops down to the second level. And once again, the defense does a great job of, stringing this out. Watch Klein here. He strings this out. He forces that cutback, and the Bills rally to the ball. But that little shift, that little change, actually, and I don't want to glance over this. This was a nice hit by Douglas.
Great stick.
Good stick. It was a fumble here by Douglas on Hardman there. Don't want to glance over that. But again, that shift, that change was really what set up this entire sequence of plays we're going to look at next. That orbit motion, that orbit shift here in this game. And they packaged it well. They layered it really well. So here it is again on the back end of this play. This time it goes behind him, and then you're getting the weak side bubble run where you're getting the pulling center, and you're getting a big play, a 28-yard gain on this play. But once again, I want you to pay attention to Taron Johnson, because much like Klein on the last one, you're going to watch Taron Johnson come up, and he's that force player. He's boxing this play in, right, Anthony? We always talk about that. Spiller box. He's boxing it in. Unfortunately, that motion by Hardman brings Poyer down, and it brought Poyer down into the box, and it just made it that much easier in angle by Joe Thuney on the backside to cover up one of the pursuit players on the backside of this run. So you got a box player, but you don't have a pursuit player to close this gap on the weak side bubble run here. And that's how he gets out the front door for 28 yards.
And going back to the amount of like footage we could put together for a reel of us talking about or breaking down like motion influencing like the Bills at the second and third level and how that changes run fits and so on and so forth. It's, we talk about it every time when it comes to Miami. You're highlighting Dane Jackson there. This is another example of like an uncharacteristic play from Dane. Like, he's got his eyes on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Linval Joseph has no wheels left, so he's got no shot. And see, this is an example too, right? Like, this is a good design and a good concept, right? I love the leverage call out from you on Poyer getting pulled into the box. It helps Thuney be able to impact him at the second level when he climbs. This play should be a positive gain for the Chiefs, but it should be dead in the water here by Dane. Like, Dane makes these tackles, I don't know, 8 out of 10 times, 9 out of 10 times. Like, it's one of his strengths. He's one of the best tacklers on this team. And especially in the secondary, him and Rapp are probably like literally two of the best tacklers on this team. And So Kansas City out leverages the defense. They block it well. They build upon what they did earlier. It's a good design. It's a good build. It's a good layering. But even with that, the explosive nature of it could still be limited based on where Dane Jackson is. Like the receiver does not do a good job blocking it all. He's trying to stalk block him, but Dane reads it.
Go get
His
him.
eyes are right there. Go get him. Like, and we see Dane do this all the time. Like fit
Yeah.
into the alley, which he does. I also don't know why. Like, why is he not as aggressive as he normally is? Exactly to your point. Like we're used to him firing in and kind of closing down and making that play. He's like almost
I
kind of
mean,
playing
you're
on his
if you're
heels a little
reading
bit.
this, like, in the flow of the ball, like,
You
you're
have to
getting a
fit it.
down block, you're getting a pull, like, I don't know what else,
You're in the alley.
he's
Go.
looking at in the backfield here. I mean, maybe that they have something going out to this side, but either way, man,
He
near
hesitates
keys.
and goes towards Richie
Yeah,
James a little bit, almost
right.
like he thinks Edwards-Helaire is going to pop it back outside or something, maybe.
Yeah,
But
it just doesn't make sense, and as you
no.
said, it's uncharacteristic of Dane Jackson, man.
Yeah, it's and even on that side too, like we talked about it offline, like Shaq Lawson just getting washed down and
No,
and
we'll
beat
get
up
to
on
him.
the edge.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
we'll get
he's
to him.
yeah, where it's just uncharacteristic of him too.
Yeah, and so here's again another play built off of that orbit look, that eye candy. This time it's a counter trace, so they have an extra guy leading out there with Travis Kelsey and Creed Humphrey. But I want you to watch. Okay, so you had that 28-yard gain, and you saw how Taron Johnson was the boxer, and he boxed the play in. Well, this time, Taron Johnson's inside, and now the force player, the guy meant to box his play in, is Von Miller, and watch him. He swims
Beautiful.
Creed Humphrey on that play and makes the tackle. So look at the minor difference between a 28-yard gain and a 1-yard gain. That little change, that change of, okay, let's make the defensive end the box player instead of Taron Johnson, or I'm sorry, who was it last play?
The box player?
Yes.
Taron Johnson was a box.
Yeah,
Or
it was Taron Johnson.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was Taron Johnson. So they flip roles here, and see, Vaughn is able to make the tackle there. So
Mhm.
there was a little schematic wrinkle change here on the very same type of play call, and Vaughn is actually the one that makes the play here on a great swim move on Creed Humphrey.
And this is a beautiful play from Vaughn. Like another, again, if at this point you're just trying to hang your head on anything to get excited for Von Miller for 2024, this is a nice play. Like Creed Humphrey is bearing down on him. He makes a nice athletic play, plants on that knee and on his lower body, and pops right back out and makes a good tackle on a dude that's hard to bring down one-on-one in Isaiah Pacheco. So really good individual play and effort from Vaughn. But like you said, the bigger highlight is that schematic difference. Instead of using the smaller nickel corner
Right.
to have to be that box player, that force player. Instead, you're using your edge player, and that stems this run back inside where the pursuit is, where the help is, which actually isn't even needed because Vaughn ends up making the play himself.
Yeah, and again, it's a different look, right? It's a different coverage. You can see they're too high here.
Yep.
Now you're getting way more population to the ball, especially when you're playing a guy like Pacheco. A guy runs angry. You got to get
Mhm,
population to the ball. You got to get a lot of people around the ball, and they do on that play. So
mhm.
moving on to the next play, this is a 9-yard gain. This is a play that the Bills have struggled with, and I think the Chiefs saw this from the Miami Dolphins film against the
Mhm.
Bills in every matchup this year,
That was my
where they were
exact thought. Yep.
where they were able to get this toss out onto the perimeter for big gains. And so this is only a 9-yard gain, but again, I want you to watch how it changed as the game went on. So pay attention to Taron Johnson, Shaq Lawson, and AJ Klein on this play. Again, pitch to the left right here. And so most of the time, this play is going to be decided pretty early by this defensive end.
Mhm.
And usually Shaq does a great job of recognizing this coming and working over the top, or at the very least playing through it and making that cutback happen because he's playing so strong through the
Mhm.
tight end or tackle. But watch how he gets hooked here. He gets kept inside. Now you're getting guys out on the perimeter. You're getting a tackle on Taron Johnson. But once again, Taron does a great job of working to leverage, and this is his job. This is their job as force players. Don't let it get outside. Don't let it get outside. But there's just no help. There's no help from pursuit right here. Bills are in a too high look. So you need this backside pursuit. AJ Klein needs to be there, but because of the angle that Humphrey took on him, he gets taken downfield for a ride. And now
Mhm.
Poyer's fitting from 12 yards deep, and
Mhm.
he misses the tackle there. Again, these little things added up to be big things. And now you're getting a 9-yard gain on first down. And the Chiefs were phenomenal on early downs.
Yeah, and it starts with Shaq Lawson, like you said. This one really annoys me because it's not even like that physical of a pin or a crack on Shaq Lawson. Like it's literally just hands on his pad and turns. And I almost wonder like if Shaq, because he's looking in the backfield, it's almost like he's expecting something else to happen. Like we're used to him, like you said, like playing through that tight end, being more physical. Like he's not a soft player. I don't think any player in the NFL is like soft, but this is like a softer kind of rep for
Right.
him with how easy he's kept inside. Although like again, like blocking tight end, like it is what it is, but that starts it right there from the jump. And then again, Poyer has the opportunity to make this play, hold this to
Right.
like maybe a
Near the
2.
line of scrimmage, too. I
Yep.
mean, this is right near the line of scrimmage.
Yep. When I was looking at it earlier from the sideline angle, like if he makes the tackle right here, it's probably 2nd and 8, 2nd and 7 at the most. But again, to Pacheco's credit, like it's hard to take this dude down one-on-one. Like he punches the earth every time he runs. Like he punches it with his feet. He's nasty. He's angry. And Klein eventually gets there and makes the stop short of the first down. But again, Creed Humphrey gets to the second level. Like kudos to him. The interior had such a good game. Tooney and Humphrey and Trey Smith really did a bunch of work. But again, like they got gouged early, but then adjusted later.
All right. So here's a 29-yard gain on the same play. So once again, watch the defensive end on this play and how Dotson gets caught in traffic here. So you get that perimeter, off that initial block from the tight end. And it does a little better job of widening here and moving his feet down the line of scrimmage, but they're still able to seal him off. And then you're getting the lineman right here on the DBs, and you're getting a nice alleyway right here. And you now have no pursuit. These guys are in pursuit, but they're damn near down the line of scrimmage. They're not going to get there in time, and they get caught in a wash. And then, boom, there's your alley. And here's our safety, Micah Hyde, missing the tackle. And he's off to the races for 29 yards.
Again, like, and I hate to continue to point out like these negative plays, but all these like chunk plays that still would have been like, okay, cool. Like this is a 20-something yard gain. Probably at best or at worst was still going to be like a 9 or 10 yard gain, but they have the opportunity to cut it short. Like Hyde had the opportunity here. Poyer had the opportunity on the other one. Dane had the opportunity the play before. And when you highlight that alley, also look to the right of it and all the players that are inside. Shaq Lawson, Ed Oliver, both linebackers. Like there's not only is there the alley, but like you said, there is nobody in pursuit. Right. So it's straight up one-on-one. It is on Hyde to make the difference here and make this play. Unfortunately, he's unable to. The one positive I wanted to pull from this play, the very next play after this is the one where Poyer forces the fumble on Mecole Hardman around the goal line. That play doesn't happen if Poyer doesn't hustle his ass off on that one from the backside of the field. Like he's down at the line of scrimmage on the backside of this run, and he hauls ass. It's a great angle. It's hustle. It's effort to be able to knock Pacheco out and live to fight another day. So I know that play, like schematically, was rough for a lot of dudes, but hats off to Poyer for, busting ass down there to try and get the stop.
All right, so let's fast forward in the fourth quarter, 10:09 on the clock, 2nd and 4 situation. Now, this is a 2-yard loss. Now, watch play side defensive end, AJ Epinesa here on the right. Watch Dodson, how he reads and works through the traffic on this play. A much better job at the point of attack. Look at AJ working over the top of that block of the tight end. And he's able to, once again, now you have, everyone setting that edge here and forcing a cutback. But look at the pursuit now. Oof. Look at the pursuit here. And especially Dodson, how he shot kind of like the back door here to make the tackle. And then him and AJ Epinesa stop this play. That's what is needed. I don't understand how they hadn't rectified that situation from how often we saw the Dolphins do that freeze toss out just like that. This is something that should have been recognized, even if it wasn't expected in this game. Teams love to run this toss against the Bills, this crack toss type play against the Bills. It's a way to get the ball on the perimeter. It's a way to kind of get an edge. But again, yes, these adjustments were made. This is the fourth quarter, though. You're giving up those explosives early in the game. That's why the Chiefs only saw, 5 third downs.
Yeah, they were just able to consistently move the ball and win on 1st and 2nd in these early downs. And great job by Dodson. Get shot out of a cannon on this one and just shoots that back door. I love the job from AJ Epinesa on this one, and especially showing this play after what we saw happen to Shaq Lawson on the 2 previous. Just look at the effort, like the relentless hands from AJ Epinesa. Like 1 swipe, 2 swipes,
just how quick his helmet snaps from looking at the ball to to the tight end. Like he knows it's coming.
Yeah. good awareness, and then the effort and the fight and the technique. Like Gray is doing a good job there, like trying to get into his kitchen and impact him. And Klein is just fighting, and then gets through and helps. Like, even if Dodson's not there, Epinesa has the opportunity to cut this off and force it back inside. It's a great individual play from the two of them, in addition to the schematic adjustment, but it's a great juxtaposition, again, of look what happened to Shaq Lawson on those two previous plays, not recognizing it soon enough, or when getting blocked, not fighting through, not doing anything. You had great call out with AJ getting his eyes onto the blocker, recognizing it, but then those hands and the effort, that's pure determination to be like, no, you're not getting me. Like, there's constant refitting of the hands from the tight end, and AJ just works and works and works.
Right. And so you mentioned Shaq. Here's Shaq right here. Tim settled in the game. The Bills' defensive line just struggled in this game. So watch how they go ahead against this power run. So you get a double team right here, and you're getting a backside puller. So they come right at Shaq Lawson, and the Bills fit it up where Shaq's going to spike inside. Dodson's going to take the outside gap, be that contained player. And so the guy that's got to make the play here, this is the entry point for the running back. The guy that has to make the play here is Shaq Lawson, and he's right there. Bro. He's right there to make a play, but he's unable to make a play in the hole. And now Pacheco gets 10 yards on that play. So this run fit with having Shaq Lawson spike inside, Dodson be that contained player, this is really putting Shaq in a position to make a play, but he's not able to make it. Well, you'll see how that changes here in the next play.
Yeah, I was saying I don't want to spoil it how it gets better, but the main thing for me, really, I just don't get Shaq dives inside. And then as Pacheco comes through, he right there, he goes more upfield and like into Kelsey, and it gives Pacheco just that little difference of an angle. I don't know why Shaq continues to push like upfield and towards the outside. Dodson is there. You don't need to do that. You're in position. Yeah. You're like, squeeze it down. Your helmet's in the hole. Your body is in the hole. You've won that gap. Stay in your gap. Dodson is outside. There's no reason for you to continue to push upfield and to the outside. He gets inside positioning and then puts himself outside and almost like ruins his leverage. And it's just that little bit of difference that allows Pacheco to get through. Bang, right there. He goes upfield, and now all of a sudden, instead of meeting Pacheco in the hole, he's lunging and trying to make an arm tackle. I don't know why he made that little push.
All right, so now we go to the third quarter, and the ball's on the 16-yard line. Now you have Daquan at defensive tackle. More specifically, he is at that 4-eye 3 technique, and now you have Linval Joseph inside. So they changed personnel groupings. We didn't see Daquan a lot at 3 tech this season. So he's in at 3 tech. Dodson's still in the play. Now you have Rousseau at defensive end. Look how they fit it up on this play. Same play, power coming right at you on the left side of the screen. Now you're having Rousseau squeeze down, and you're having Dodson inside. Look how much tighter these guys are playing this and squeezing this. And that's why you only get, a 4-yard gain on this play, which is a win when you're talking first down. That's a win at stopping the run on the same exact play that you just saw in the prior clip.
In relation to Rousseau, I went back and charted like all like the runs for Kansas City in this game, and all but 2 of the successful runs for the Chiefs either came with Rousseau off the field or they were run away from Greg Rousseau. And the 2 that were kind of quote unquote run towards him, they started out towards him, but then were banged up inside because the Chiefs got displacement. So technically still didn't even like go to his side. And again, this is a good job on the front. Rousseau squeezes this down, forces that run to stay inside the way he attacks Trey Smith pulling. And then everyone else you have highlighted. Dodson is making a move inside Kelsey. Look at the job that we get from Daquan. We show it all the time here, dropping that knee, changing your surface area and your leverage against the double team there, just trying to gum up the works as much as you can. It starts with that front side piece of Rousseau and Dodson. And again, there's just that difference that we show here. Like, the difference in not getting displaced on the line of scrimmage or getting forced and sealed, that just that ability to create havoc and get into your gaps and win your gaps. And there was a stark difference because it wasn't just like the Bills, like it wasn't just like every single run for the Chiefs was a win. Like they were just running up and down and they were done no matter what. I know, in this game, they did have a successful, offensive performance. Obviously, they had a 54.3 success rate, which was third in the divisional round. They had a 50% rushing success rate, which was fourth. So they were successful on the ground, but there were several runs, a handful of them, where the Bills did a good job fitting everything up, but it was just not consistent. And a lot of it was due to poor run fits or that one player who had an opportunity. And that's what was frustrating in this game. Even when things didn't go well schematically, they still had an opportunity to mitigate some of those explosives, and they just couldn't. It just felt like they were always chasing their tail and snake bit a little bit. And when, exactly like you said, when they'd adjust to one thing, Kansas City, it was almost like they were like, oh, cool, they figured this one out. We got something else for them.
Right. And as you guys saw, a lot of the issues arose up front on the defensive line and the backside pursuit. So the backside linebackers or the safety dropping down, they're getting reached, they're getting covered up. They're not in the hole when that cutback lane opens up. It wasn't because of Taron Johnson. So you saw it. Taron and the defensive backs did a good job of forcing those cutbacks. The defense was just cut in half. There was no population to the ball. There's no one to fill. That's, when we talk about run fits, I feel like we say this a bunch. We need to do an entire film study
really do
on that because, a lot of fans don't understand run fits, especially in this one gap defense. And so you saw Taron Johnson do his job. Did he get taken for a ride a few times? Yeah. But you saw that running back have to cut it up inside. That is his main job. He does it on screens as well. That's why when they run a lot of those wide receiver screens, he's there to blow it up or at least force it back inside to the pursuit. But they didn't have the speed at the second level at the linebacker position. They didn't have the angles, and they just didn't bring their tackles through. They didn't run through the tackles. They missed too many tackles on a running back that on running backs that run really hard, and they brought their pads this game, and the Bills didn't. And again, there are a lot of reasons behind it, but it was just uncharacteristic when you're talking about the Bills defense, especially versus the run. There are times where, the defenses of Sean McDermott gets gashed, over the years. It's happened. But in this game, there were opportunities to minimize those plays, and the Bills players just weren't making those plays.
Everything that that you need to have in some way or form to stop the run just went so sideways for the Bills in this game. Like we talk about it all the time. Like run defense is a choreographed dance for a defense. It is everybody doing their 111th, everybody doing their individual job. And it starts with the defensive line. It's amazing how well you can defend the run if your defensive line does their job. And the defensive line got bullied a ton in this game, like we talked about. And then, like you said, even when there were opportunities to kind of mitigate things and limit a 9-yard run to a 2 or 3 yard gain, or limit a 25-yard run to an 8 or a 9-yard gain, they just weren't able to make those plays. So it just seemed like they were never able to do enough in this game. And again, at that point, just kind of wrap it up. I wanted to build off that last piece you said, they're going to get gouged even when they're healthy with this defense, just because of how they play. It's the nature of it. But what is usually characteristic of this defense is they give it as much as they get it. They may give up a 12-yard gain, and then the next time the team runs the ball, they tackle them for a 3-yard loss or a 2-yard loss. They give as much as they get. We didn't see them do that in this game, and they got more often than not. Oh, I didn't mean for that to rhyme. Look at that. That was fun. Unfortunate piece, but what's not unfortunate is what we offer a lot of our folks here at Cover One, and Mr. Greg Thompson and Aaron Quinn. We talk about this all the time. We talk about One Pass. We talk about the Slack channel. We talk about the Cover One Insiders. We're going to expand upon that a little bit, but before we do that, here's Mr. Greg Thompson and Aaron Quinn to let you folks know about Cover One Pass and what it offers all you folks.
Many people ask us the best way to support us here at Cover One, and that is to sign up to become a Cover One Pass member. That contribution helps give us the access to all the data and information we use to create the content that you love.
And I think most importantly, brings you into our community of insiders. It's a great community based on Slack. I know a lot of people don't want to be on social media anymore or be in on those conversations. We bring all of it to you right in our great community of educated fans. And most importantly, you get access to our content creators.
Even better than that, everybody loves merch. You get awesome t-shirts, a cool decal, and a letter from the Cover One team signed directly to you.
All for $60. That gets you the entire season, next year's free agency and draft. $60. Click the link in the description. Cover One Insider. Become one today.
Anthony, it's funny when I listen to that video and you hear them talk about the Slack channel, which, you know, is a
Mhm.
reason a lot of, you know, fans do come to Cover One in our community. This was one of those moments where I was happy to have it, because I avoided social media after this game, which I typically do anyways. But for this game, with how emotional fans
Mhm.
are after these type of games against this team, the Chiefs, it was nice to get into the Slack channel because you could hash it all out, but you weren't hashing out with strangers where you could be over the top emotional. Everyone in our Slack community gets along. We're almost family. And
Mhm.
so we hashed it out a little differently, whereas it's not just some anonymous person on social media that is always trolling us. You know, when it comes to the Bills, it's actually our family and friends. And so we show a little more respect, I would say. But nonetheless, it was nice to have, you know, those guys in our Slack channel with a little shoulder to lean on after a loss like that against the Chiefs.
And Jason has a great line here saying, you know, I barely checked any social media since, you know, the loss, but I've just been reading the Slack a couple times a day to keep up with things. And I think it's a very comforting place. We talk about it offline all the time, like the toxicity that exists on social media in general, it's bad. But man, anytime the Bills lose, it is a wasteland on Twitter or X or whatever social media. And even when the Bills win, it's almost like the pendulum swings too far to the other side with excitement and these false, you know, overhyped expectations. But that Slack channel is, you know, we talk about it all the time on the show. And anytime we talk about One Pass, the community, the camaraderie, the sense of family, the communication, also the inside knowledge that you folks get that we don't really break and blast on social media, but the Slack channel members know. Again, we talked about it last week leading into the game. Like our insiders knew what was up with Bernard and what was up with Christian Benford and what was going to look like for the opportunity for them to play, what injuries they had, what was happening and going on. But like you said, on top of it, it's a good place to go, whether the Bills win or lose. It's a really good, inviting atmosphere and an inviting community to be able to talk football, talk Bills, talk fantasy football, anything and everything. There's tons of different channels. It's a really great piece and one of the major anchors and benefits of One Pass.
Yeah. So with that said, let's flip the script. Let's go to the offensive side of the ball. I want to get your thoughts on the Bills' game plan. It was, you know, highly scrutinized immediately after this game. You know, there's a lot of talk about them not attacking down the field. Surprise, surprise. One of their best vertical threats wasn't in this game. I want to get your thoughts on that game plan from Joe Brady. Who knows? Could it have been his last game? We don't know. I don't think so, but I want to get your thoughts on his plan of attack the second time around against the Chiefs.
You know what's funny? It's some of the aspects of like how they weren't able to push the ball downfield and how they had to matriculate and live. It was almost like eerily reminiscent of not completely, but reminiscent of some of the Dorsey days where it was just like can't push the ball downfield. Teams are playing you this way, yada yada. But I didn't really have too many game plan woes. The biggest things that I didn't like with this game plan, I would have liked, especially once the run game got established, I would have liked to see some more early down play action to potentially generate some shots and or getting away from some of their more like predictable runs. But overall, I thought it was a good game plan from Joe Brady. And I kind of felt that way coming out of the broadcast and then watching the tape as we do here on the film room. You could just see it consistently. Like the Chiefs were giving nothing over the top. They were keeping everything in front of them. They were giving these too high looks. And then so the Chiefs were presenting looks defensively that made the Bills want to run the football and throw these screens and throw these passes around the line of scrimmage. And they worked. The Bills offense in the divisional round against the Chiefs, they were first in success rate in the divisional round at 57.7% success rate. Wild. They were second in rushing success rate at 60.6. They were only behind the Detroit Lions, who were at 61. No one else was above 55. They also had a 55.6 dropback success rate, which was third on the weekend, and then they were fifth in EPA per play. The biggest thing that was disappointing with the Bills offense was it's just hard to win or live that way when you have to consistently execute because teams are putting a cap on your offense. But again, that's what the Chiefs were doing. They weren't going to back out of it. So the Bills ran the ball down their throat, controlled the line of scrimmage for the majority of the game. And it's funny, if the Bills win this game, the conversation that we're having about the Bills defensive line is what Chiefs fans are having this week, talking about how we got manhandled up front. The Bills pushed us around and created displacement and we couldn't fit properly. And Willie Gay going out and the injuries really crushed us. Like I would have liked to see some different tweaks, but overall, I didn't have a problem with the game plan. And I think the game plan was dictated by what Steve Spagnuolo and the Chiefs' game plan was, which is what fans have wanted for forever. Fans are always talking about, oh, well, defenses are doing this, so why don't you do that? That's what the Bills did.
Take what they're giving you, Josh.
What they-
Check it down, Josh. Do we have a screen game? Yeah, they ran 10 screens.
That's the
Like,
one. How many times have we heard people yelling, well, they need to run more screens? They did a ton of them in this game. And guess what? Pretty much all of them worked. You know why? Because the Chiefs were playing with 2 defenders over 3 on the outside for a majority of the game, plus 2 high shells, and we're inviting it. The Bills had a very successful performance. The reason they didn't execute consistently or didn't win the game, they had a couple runs in the fourth quarter that got stopped for negative yardage, and that played into the Chiefs' hands. But overall, yeah, I thought it was absolutely
those vertical down the field drops
whole nother
as well were a huge thing. And it's crazy because we've broken down, a bunch of these plays over 20 yards all season. We talked about how or why they weren't hitting those plays down the field, and more times than not, it was Josh Allen's fault. It was. He was missing Diggs a ton this year when we're talking the vertical game, which is why the Bills, according to True Media, were 28th in 20-plus yard plays last season at 4.9%. They were 28th. All right, so that is why. And a lot of those plays, it was because of Josh Allen. Well, in this game, it wasn't.
Of course, too. Like, how cruelly poetic is that? Like, of course, in this game, like he's delivering dimes.
You have the Sherfield drop, but the Diggs drop, like that is an all-time throw and play that it just gets swept under the rug and just doesn't exist. And you see Diggs get up and say, "Oh, it's close." Like, no, it wasn't. He should have had that. You're an alpha receiver. You're a number 1 receiver. You got to have that. There's no excuse. I don't want to hear, well, the ball was kind of underthrown. It was up over the outside shoulder. The safety was falling down, as you'll see in the film, and he just dropped it.
He also didn't adjust well to it. Like, he didn't need to make an over-the-shoulder Willie Mays style catch. Like, he had enough time to adjust. It was played very oddly or uncomfortably from Diggs.
Yeah, and I thought
screw Darius Slay talking about like, oh well, it's actually underthrown.
Yeah, exactly. I thought overall the game plan to control the line of scrimmage, which they did, control the tempo and game speed. They did all of that. They ran 78 plays to 47 of the Chiefs. They had really good answers versus a team that is very aggressive. Those answers were screens. Some of those RPOs, they spit them out like we talk about, and they were hitting. They had 10 screens for 56 yards, 4 first downs. So they, as you said, matriculated the ball. And they moved the ball down the field while controlling the clock, keeping Mahomes off the field. Now, it wasn't complimentary because the defense couldn't stop Mahomes. But imagine if they weren't controlling the ball on the offensive side of the ball,
bro,
how many more points the Chiefs would have scored against that defense.
Great point. And I knew you were going to go with that, which is why I didn't want to talk about it. Like, that's exactly it. Like, they knew they were at a disadvantage defensively. They knew that they were a mash unit and kind of held together with duct tape. So they tried to keep that unit off the field. Like, exactly to your point. Imagine how much worse it would have been if the Chiefs offense was on the field more and the Bills defense with all these injuries was further tired and further exhausted and having to constantly execute
with a lack of depth. Yeah,
exactly. This game plan worked well. Again, the only thing that got in the way of this game plan were some big drops and some runs that went for negative yardage. And I mentioned the Dorsey line because it made me think of a couple games where the Bills were moving the ball up and down the field, but they'd have a fumble or there'd be an interception. It would be those 2 drives that derailed a performance, but the game plan would be sound to a degree. It just felt like a lot of, I don't know. Like, I feel like it was just everybody needs somebody to be mad at and figure out who they can be mad at. And Joe Brady was one of the guys for this game.
Yeah. So let's get into some of the offensive film here. So this is early in the game, first quarter, 10:09 on the clock, a 10-yard gain on a screen. You can see Josh highlighted or circled there. He's showing the number 2 to all of the receivers down to the bottom of the screen. This is one of the answers they use for those 2 high safety looks. Hey, it's 2-2-2. They have 2 high safeties. And so that's why they run this little screen to Kincaid down at the bottom of the screen, and they're able to get 10 yards. In this play, this is one of several plays when you're talking screens to Kincaid that was successful. This is a 10-yard gain. That's awesome. That's a great extension of the run game. So you had the run game work, and then you had plays like this working, especially against those 2 high looks. These were the right answers against Spags defense.
Yeah, and it's an easy button for Josh Allen. He doesn't really have to read anything other than the pre-snap alignment of the defense. Like, this is just catching it and, like you said, spitting it out. Like, he doesn't have to do anything complicated or do anything, mentally taxing. And that pre-snap look, what you had on the outside, you had 2 defenders on the outside over the 3. And then even look going into the box there, you have Nick Bolton, who's the closest defender, and then that deep safety. This is a beautiful look to run a tunnel screen against. And you've got one of the most athletic right tackles in the league in Spencer Brown, who's got the opportunity to go out there. You can change the math instantaneously against the Chiefs, and they do. And then you get the added bonus of Dalton Kincaid breaking a tackle and getting forward. This is an easy button. This is an extension of the run game, like you said. And if teams are going to give you this, you'll take it every single time.
Right. And so the Bills did several times. Here's man coverage in the first quarter, 3:57 left in the first quarter. This is a simple 6-yard gain, and you can see the blitz coming. So look, they're sending a cover 0 blitz. These guys are all manned up right here. This is cover 0. Josh had an answer, and it's something that, God, going back to the Jags game, whether it was under Dorsey or even sometimes early in Brady's tenure this year, the Bills struggled with some answers against the pressure and blitz looks. Here they don't. They said, you know what? We had an RPO, a run called, but we're going to spit it out because they sent a blitz. They sent McDuffie off the edge right here. So he spits out to Shakir, and Shakir does a great job of getting 6 yards, but more importantly, moving those chains.
Yeah, I was saying the situation is so important too, right? This isn't, 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8 or anything. It's 2nd and 4. So you look at what you have again. Sometimes football, it's funny how defensive football angles and spacing is so important. Spacing is important offensively too, but defensive football is very much like geometry, and offensive football is very just basic algebra and numbers. And this is another example of the numbers advantage. And then the run action, like you've highlighted there, it pulls McDuffie from the 2nd level. It pulls Charles Omenihu off the edge, both down towards James Cook. Now you're on the outside, and it's basically 2-on-2 because Justin Reed is the safety that has to flow. And again, it's just 2nd and 4. This is easy for Khalil Shakir to pick up the first
Remember how
down.
bad we talked about the Bills were on 2nd down in that Diggs episode?
Yep.
They're terrible on 2nd down. This is a good answer, man.
Absolutely. And what else did we talk about? How teams would attack them and use these cover 0 looks and all these things on 2nd down because the Bills would treat 2nd down, or defenses were treating that like it was a 3rd down piece.
Bingo.
And again, that's a great answer. It's another easy button. You don't need a big chunk play. It's 2nd and 4. Get the first down, new set of sticks, move the chains.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff from Shakir that entire game. We're going to see some of that later. But we move on to the last play of the first quarter. Bills have the ball at the 25-yard line. 1st and 10 play here. It's a scramble. But, Anthony, does this play look familiar to you? Does this play up the seam to Cook look familiar to you?
It's almost like this is what this is a great job by Kansas City recognizing it as well. Yeah, this was what very reminiscent of what James Cook scored on the touchdown against Kansas City in the regular season earlier in the year.
Yeah, and so that was an explosive play. This is a shot call, guys. So the Bills did have several shot calls called on this in this game. Unfortunately, right here, Tranquil did a great job in this game.
Yeah, he had
against
a great
Kincaid.
game.
He carried Kincaid several times down the field.
He was jacking up Kincaid in the run game.
Yeah.
He had a good game.
He was pretty much the primary reason why the runs were shot down by the Bills in the fourth quarter.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was only the fourth quarter. The Bills had success in the first 3 quarters. It was the fourth quarter where Tranquil and that defense tightened things up. But watch how he gets a piece of Cook here, denies him entry into that seam. That play shut down, but it's okay. Josh scrambles for 8 yards. But this, don't kid yourself. This was a shot call down the field.
Yeah, and again, this worked the first time they played Kansas City. It's that 4-strong look. You have that switch, that little bit of switch release between James Cook and Dalton Kincaid. So Kincaid now becomes the number 4, and James Cook becomes the number 3. And you're stressing the defense to try and pass things off. And again, it was there the first time. It wasn't on this one, but you got Josh Allen with his legs, and he's able to make it up and takes the profit, 8 yards on first down, stay on schedule and all that. But exactly to your point, this was a shot play they dialed up. Kansas City just beat it. So then Josh Allen beat them in a different way.
Yep. Just played above the scheme there. Took the 8 yards. Something he's done so well the last few weeks in this run is, taking what the defense is giving him with his legs and, doing his best to not take big shots. So here's his touchdown. This is a 5-yard touchdown on a pass run option. And I think they wanted to hit Diggs here on the slant. But again, you have a pass run option called. So obviously you're getting a pulling tackle on this play, like their dart play where Josh could just run it right here. But you can see Josh is looking to pass first. He wants to hit this slant route right here. Well, the defense does a great job of shutting that play down. But because of that puller wanting to kick out Amenahue, he braces. That DM braces for that block, and that allows him, Josh Allen, to get out on the edge, to break contain there for that touchdown.
Yeah, again, Josh playing, kind of within the call, but a little bit above the scheme, making a difference. And this one in the play before too, I think is like a good time to mention. We say it so much on this show, but I think when people have like a favorite team, they get just hyper focused on their team and what their team does or doesn't do. And the opponent that you're playing is also good at football, and they also get paid to be good at football and try and stop what you're doing. There's going to be times where they have you beat, or they have a better call, or they have the right answer. And that's what's made these Bills Chiefs games so entertaining, because a lot of them are just chess matches with the we know what you know, what we know type of stuff. But this was a good little wrinkle. I like the pass run option piece, again, built off of one of their core concepts with tackle, wrap, dart. But it gives these options are so hard to defend if you're a defense in the low red zone because of who and what Josh Allen is. Like, if Tranquil doesn't sit there, and not Tranquil, the man that's over Diggs, if he feels more comfortable and he hits him on that glance, cool. If not, like here, it doesn't work out, and Diggs gets gummed up and he's not able to get through Justin Reed. Okay, Allen tucks it and he runs. Like, this is so hard to defend if you are a defense, and it's really part of the reason why Josh Allen's been weaponized this year in that low red zone, and really under Brady, and taken off with his touchdown totals.
Yeah, and to wrap this play up, I want you to watch what the Chiefs do here. So you get this penetration here, but as soon as they do a great job of it against Josh, where when Josh is an empty and they want to run that QB run off of, like the fake swing route to James Cook, they do a great job of looping their defensive ends. And that's exactly what Karlaftis does here. And you see Tranquil sitting in there. He gets picked up by McGovern, but either way, there's nothing inside here. So even if Josh did want to take this, he's going to probably take a big hit. Maybe he scores. Either way, I like how he's able to bounce outside, break contain there, and again, play above the play there for the touchdown. So let's get on to the next play. This is in the second quarter. It's an 8-yard gain by Cook, but you got to give, kudos to Spags. He did a great job of spinning coverages, changing the picture pre to post snap. And so early on in this play, with this little trip set right here, this bunch set, you can kind of see you got a linebacker down, then you got these two over the top, almost like they're in man coverage. But post snap, that does change. And so the Bills try doing that fake pitch out to Cook, and they're trying to get the tight end to the middle of the field. They run this every single week.
Like they did this a bunch against the Chiefs the first time. They got it to Knox over the middle of the field multiple times.
But you see that coverage change. It goes from more of like a 1-high look to a 2-high look. And as soon as that ball snapped, Bolton does a great job of getting into the tight end there. And so that route over the middle is taken away. But you can see all these routes are down the field, but it's spaced really well by the defense. And again, that picture changed. But I love the design of this play. And this is something a lot of teams are doing. And I remember seeing Shanahan do it, of course, in San Francisco versus you're getting this guy out, but it's not to run a route. It's to be almost like a swing screen and set up a swing screen to Cook. So Josh is looking downfield. It's a vertical shot. There's nothing there. He holds it. He's like, you know what? Let me check it down. Let me get it to my outlet. Now he's got a blocker in front of him. Now you're getting 8 yards on first down. That's a beautiful play. Again, a shot call, nothing there. Let me take what the defense is giving me. He does. He gets 8 yards on that first down.
Yeah, San Francisco loves to do this where Dalton Kincaid is Kyle Juszczyk and then James Cook is Christian McCaffrey. And then it's like, okay, sweet. Now we got CMC in space with arguably the best fullback and kind of versatile weapons in the league in Juszczyk. And yeah, it's a good design with good spacing and good layering from the Bills and good spacing, honestly, like you said, from the Chiefs as well. They take away the shot opportunity. They take away the chunk play, and Allen reads it. And he does what we've been asking him to do so much this year, which is just, bro, take the profit, know the down and distance, know the situation. It's 1st and 10. You don't need to push the ball downfield. Take what the defense gives you. He dumps it down to Cook, and it's an easy 8 yards. This isn't complicated. This isn't mentally taxing. This isn't difficult. if the defense gives you A, you do B. If they give you C, you do D. And they gave the Bills C, and he gave it to Cook here. And again, take the profit. Nice, easy 8 yards.
And this is a coverage the Chiefs ran a bunch where they
Love this.
spun McDuffie to the deep
Yes.
half as a too high look.
Love
First and 10
this.
situation. This is a 6-yard gain in the second quarter. So the Bills are driving at the end of the first half with 1:28 on the clock. And so you see the picture here. You see the picture, single high safety look, right? Nope. Picture changes. They send a creeper pressure here with Tranquil coming. And then you're going to see these guys. I want you to look at this rotation. This is one of their safeties, Reed. Here's Bolton, their Mike linebacker. Tranquil is the other linebacker here. Watch how they spin out of this single high safety look. Boom. Now you're in a 2 high, pretty much a Tampa 2 look.
Yes.
And the Bills have their coverage beaters called. So on this play, they have, we talked about it a bunch. You have that deep in breaking route. You got an under route. Now to the bottom, they have their single high safety coverage beater. That's that seam route by Kincaid, stop route by Diggs. So generally, Josh's eyes should be to the bottom of the screen based on this pre-snap look of a single high safety look. But post-snap, that picture changes. And so Josh, you can see even Kincaid looking at Josh like, hey, Tranquil's going, I'm there. But if Josh throws this is probably intercepted or it's a hospital ball because Bolton's going to light up Kincaid. So that picture changes. Now, Josh, again, maybe he can go to this, but even that's taken away just based on how the defense spun there. Josh is like, you know what? There's way too much going on. What am I going to do? I'm just going to check it down. I'm going to check it down to Murray for 6 yards. So they had good coverage beaters called, but the defense won that play. As you said, they get paid too. Spags is a great defensive coordinator. He changed the picture for Josh. Josh's eyes were all over the place because of that change. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to settle in. I'm going to give it to Murray and get 6 yards and move on to the next play.
I loved this coverage and this spin from the Chiefs defense. And another thing I like about it too, the timing of it. Everybody moves, like granted it's on the snap, but the coordination, Tranquil, Bolton, McDuffie, Reed, Karlaftis, like everybody moves or spins or drops at the drop of a hat at the exact same time. It's very reminiscent of how Lou Anarumo has his spins for the Bengals, where everything is so timed well and coordinated and nobody's indicating anything pre-snap. And then on the snap, everybody scatters and you don't know what's going on. I don't have too much to add. Like you characterized it perfectly. I think Allen saw everything that was going on and was kind of like, this is too much. I'm just going to wait for Murray to leak out.
I don't know how you play quarterback in the league, man. Like some of this stuff is happening so fast, man. And he just makes a calm, collected decision just to check it down. And again, now you're in 2nd and 4 situation. Near the end of the first half there. It's just a smart play, man.
And that's
smart football.
And that's a win, right? You go from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 4. That's a win. And not only do you do that, you do it against a really good call from the Chiefs. So like the Chiefs won this rep because they confused Allen. They taxed him, but Allen beat them because he was like, all right, cool. Like you guys played that. I'm just going to dump it down and take an easy 6.
Right. And so we're at the bottom of the first half, 35 seconds left in the first half, 3rd and 5 situation. And on this play, Josh hits Shakir on just a ridiculous pass, but an even better catch. I don't know how he caught this. And this is on McDuffie, one of the best defensive backs in the NFL. Big time play in a big time moment. This was huge. It really, again, set up points here late in the first half. This is just crazy. On a follow concept, which we've broken down several times. It's a 4-strong formation, 4 guys to the top of the screen, and he hits Shakir on a great play. This was not there. This play was not there. McDuffie was not fooled by any of those crossers. He stayed home, and somehow Allen found Shakir on the back end of this play.
McDuffie sees it the whole way. He bumps Sherfield a little bit to kind of reroute him. But as he does that, his eyes are in the backfield. You got him highlighted right there. Yep. There's the reroute on Sherfield. Boom. Eyes go right back to the backfield to Allen, and then they immediately get onto Shakir. McDuffie is all over this. He's playing maybe a half yard past the first down marker. But again, he's right there. Like he's in perfect position.
Out, dude.
Right. I don't know how he doesn't get the PBU. I don't know how the ball doesn't hit his hand or his forearm or his arm. Like it's really... I'm going to choose to believe that this is very purposeful ball placement from Josh Allen, and he puts it into a spot where he thinks only Shakir can get it, which technically he's right. And then, Shakir to be able to, the soft hands, the hand-eye coordination, and then the strength to not let this ball get punched or ripped out, to pluck it off the ground. Again, like you said, this was not there for Shakir. This wasn't there for Allen. The Chiefs do a really good job of passing everything off and not giving much for Allen on this play. Only a 3-man rush with Shenault kind of as a low hole player. So there's technically 8 in coverage. So they're flooding a shrunken space in the low red zone anyway. And McDuffie plays it great. Like, this is, it's so frustrating to see this and be like, these are the types of things that go your way and you end up winning the game. And it's just frustrating to see all these and know that they didn't win.
Yeah. And speaking of, just great plays by Shakir, man. So,
bro.
3rd and 13 situation here. This is his touchdown in the third quarter, bottom of the third quarter. And it's our easy loan auto sales, making it look easy.
I know, right?
Our final making it look easy play of the game, bottom of the screen. Go ahead and take that graphic off so we can see Shakir at the bottom of the screen there, Anthony, if you don't mind. So this is empty set, pretty much pushing down the field. And you can see the Chiefs do a great job of expanding and saying, you know what? We're not going to let you get behind us. But because of the coverage here and how they leverage everything, you get one-on-one coverage to the bottom of the screen. Unfortunately, it's L'Jarius Sneed, guy who hasn't let a touchdown all season.
Yep, 0 touchdowns before this play right here.
So you get one-on-one Shakir on Sneed. Josh extends a play. He has a spy. He has to beat that spy. And somehow he makes this throw to the front pylon. And you see him run over there, dude. I don't think he even believed he made this throw. And if you watch it from this end zone angle, it's just ridiculous. This is definitely a top 3 pass from Josh Allen in his career. Across the body, avoiding that rusher, buying himself a little time so he can flip those hips around a little bit and then make that throw, that dot to the front pylon for the touchdown to Khalil Shakir. And that's why this play is our easy loan auto sales, making it look easy, of course, making it look easy play of the game.
This play is so, from the get-go, it's 3rd and goal, but it's from the 13-yard line. So you are, I don't know what the probability of success or touchdown is on this play, but it's not high. And then added on top of it again, like we saw multiple times in this game, including the previous snap, you get another 3-man rush from the Chiefs. So they basically play 8 into coverage, but one of those dudes is Shenault, who's like a low hole player or a spy. And you highlighted their tracks right there. George Karlaftis is the edge over Dawkins.
Right off the spot.
Yep, gets him right off the spot. It's very reminiscent of the odd mirror stuff. That the Bills did last year. Those were the days. Von Miller was healthy. Matt Milano was there. Man, what a time. And Karlaftis does exactly what you're supposed to do. He gets inside. He gets Allen off the spot. Shenault is that aggressive spy. He is closing down as soon as he gets any type of movement from Allen, which he does. But then, like you said, Allen does his super coordinated hesitation move, and it breaks down Shenault. Maybe Shenault thought, that's what I was going to say. Maybe he thought Allen was going to slide. Who knows? But it just buys him just enough time. And not only does it buy him time, that move and breaking down Shenault keeps that passing window and that alley, that lane open for him because Shenault is on his right side, on his back shoulder. If Shenault is more kind of squared up on him or a little more front side, this becomes a much harder throw, probably impossible throw because Allen can't hit that trajectory. He's going to have to arc it, and then he's not going to be able to laser it in there. So all these crazy things leading up to the throw. And then like you said, like he throws this across his body. He has to open up and sling this across his body. And then the placement, and then the catch from Shakir, not only the catch, but then look at the knee. Like he gets that knee down. And not only does he get the knee down, I think he also gets the back foot, that left foot down. So he gets a knee and both feet, like crazy throw, crazy catch, just huge moment in a situation that was very disadvantageous for the offense. Like this, there's how many, what play calls do you have in the playbook for 3rd and goal from the 13? Like not a lot.
You don't have any. And that's why these are like pretty much all verticals. It's like, all right, we're going to send everyone down the field and clear it out and probably expecting Josh to do something with his legs.
Yep.
And that's why Spags, he was ahead of him. He's like, you know what? We're going to rush 3. We're going to have a spy. Exactly. So it was a good chess match. But again, that's what, when you have a franchise quarterback like Josh Allen and a playmaker in big moments like Shakir now, he's come up with some big plays and big moments over the back half of this year since Joe Brady's taken over. Yeah. And that's why Josh, he took a shot here against one of the better cornerbacks in the league.
we continue to talk about it. Like Shakir's volume isn't or hasn't been crazy, but his catches are either for like first downs or these moments where they just provide these huge clutch plays and you're sitting there thinking like, oh my God, like just how he continues to show up in these big moments. And this was another one. And I love the call there that you mentioned, like what Spags is thinking. Like if you're the Bills, you're just hoping, okay, somebody's one-on-one and Allen can throw it up to him and somebody makes a play, or there's a bust in coverage, or Allen scrambles and breaks down the coverage and you get what you get. Like the Chiefs are playing this tremendously and it's a good, oh man, it's just, this is another one again for the Chiefs where you're just like, dude, did that really happen? Like, and, but it's a stupid game that they lost. But regardless of that, this is our making it look easy loan auto sales play of the game. This play was not easy, so a little tongue in cheek. Easy Loan Auto Sales, of course, the sponsor of this segment, and they, regardless of your credit situation, can help get you behind the wheel and on the road to better credit. All of Easy Loan's vehicles include a 2-year, 24,000-mile warranty, and they have 3 convenient locations in Buffalo, Lockport, and Niagara Falls. They can get you driving today. Go to easyloanauto.com to start your accelerated approval, and all their information can be found in our episode show notes, whether here on YouTube or whichever podcasting app or platform you are listening to this show on. One little piece I have on Khalil Shakir. Granted, sample size is going to influence this. He had 45 targets on the year. But amongst 164 players that had at least 40 targets in 2023, Khalil Shakir was first in EPA per target at 0.87, almost a full point of EPA per target. But again, first in EPA per target at 0.87. For reference, Brandon Ayuk was second at 0.63. Obviously more targets for Ayuk. Shakir was also 15th in EPA, first in positive play percentage, first in yards per target, second in passer rating when targeted, and tied for first in on-target catch percentage at 100%. So just showing up in these big high leverage situations and moments that continued into the playoffs. Just an awesome play there from Shakir and Allen, and highlighted here from White Town's King. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the super chat. And he says Josh was in the zone this game, and that throw kind of highlighted it.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Definitely top 3 throw in my opinion, man. Like it rivals, and maybe it's even better to some, that play against the Patriots where he's rolling left and does something very similar to Diggs against the Patriots. Like, but this one was just. It was such
pinpoint.
A smaller, it was pinpoint. It was such a smaller window to make that throw in. And again, the given the situation and being in the playoffs and 3rd and 13, Spags having
who you're playing
and and then the defensive back, like every level you look at it, it's hands down one of
every little detail piece you look at makes it more impressive and more impressive and more impressive.
No doubt. Well, this play was not impressive from Stefon Diggs, and again, Josh under center, 1st and 10 situation, 8:23 left in the game. You get a motion here from Hardy, and you're getting an inside release. You're getting Diggs matched up with a safety here off of play action, which, again, we've talked about. The Bills are really good at play action, and you get this bomb from Allen from deep in the pocket. And look there's some separation. Yes, the ball it causes Diggs to come back a little bit, but in the end, Justin Reed's falling down. The ball is placed perfectly outside the outside shoulder of Diggs, and he just drops it down the field. This was a huge loss on this play. If Diggs catches this, there's a good chance he can score because he's going to keep his feet. And Justin Reed's falling down. This could be 6 points on the board.
This one is even more frustrating because I kept waiting and the Bills are running the ball down the Chiefs' throat and just placing them on the line of scrimmage and just bullying them all game. And I kept waiting for like first down play action and like a chunk play or a shot play to finally hit. And this is it, like 1st and 10 late in the 4th quarter, like under center play action, everything had been kind of building to this. And it's such a huge air yard throw, and it's on the money, and it's to this receiver who really doesn't drop anything ever. And this is what we talked about earlier. Like he like slowed up Diggs, but kept his same body position. And like, I don't think he had to make this an over the shoulder type of catch. Maybe his body bumps with Justin Reed a little bit and it changes his angle. At first, I thought maybe Reed's hand, like on the broadcast, I was like, maybe Reed's hand right there flailed, like, and he got a piece of it. This literally just goes right through Stefon Diggs' hands. And exactly to your point, like, maybe even if he trips up there, it's the ball at the 20-yard line, which is awesome. But maybe if he makes the catch, he puts a little more effort into it and decides to keep his feet and just kind of falling down. They also had Sherfield open underneath on the dig. Like, this was a great play call, great timing of it, great moment, tremendous throw. Like, there's so many things that annoy me on this. Just the drop, the fact that it was finally some under center play action on first down, the fact that he also could have thrown it to Sherfield, but I'm not blaming Allen. This was the right read and an amazing dime of a throw. Like, but of course it didn't work out. Like, it just, man, this should have been a play or the play of the game.
And it's just a minor technique thing. But as soon as, Reed is kind of bumping into him or getting into his chest, as soon as that contact happens, this should not be a basket catch.
No.
This should be framed, framed just like,
Get your hands up.
and we bring, like, you put that diamond up, frame it, because you're going up to get it because you're going to have contact. And if you have it like this, that's just not how you want to catch it.
He should be opening that chest up more to Allen, exactly, and turning back and diamonding that football. I don't know. And he's a master of technique. Like, I don't know why he makes this an over-the-shoulder Willie Mays catch. He didn't need to do that.
No, he didn't. And, it is, someone said, maybe he should have been, pushing off a little more. I think either way, like, you go up, you frame it, you turn, again, you kind of contort your body so that, hey, maybe if you miscalculated and it goes over your head, maybe you're able to draw some type of penalty on the play. He doesn't, and which is something he also doesn't do all that well anyways. But either way, you would think, being that technician, that he would have properly framed his hands there, given the type of pass it was, how far down the field, the contact. Unfortunately, he doesn't, and it goes incomplete on a big play. Unfortunate play, man. That was just disappointing. But we move forward. We got a few more plays before Greg goes on to his salary cap special here. Another good answer. It's a 1st and 10 situation here, 8-yard gain in the 4th quarter, where, you know what, Josh says, I have an RPO called. It's a too high safety look. We have a numbers advantage outside. You're giving it to Kincaid. Now Kincaid is one-on-one with that safety coming from depth, and he's able to make that guy miss, and he's able to get 8 yards.
Yeah, again, similar to that tunnel screen we showed earlier in this breakdown. You got numbers advantage on the outside, like, and 2 high safeties. This is an easy math call in terms of just basic numbers. And Kincaid pushes it a little bit outside, which forces Jalen Watson, number 35, to have to kind of play on the outside of Shakir and Sherfield, who are double teaming their man underneath him, and Mr. Trent McDuffie, which sets up the one-on-one opportunity versus Kamari Connor. And Kincaid had a bunch of these in this game where, he probably could have been stopped for like 4 or 5 yards on one of these little screens, but he's breaking tackles and making dudes miss and turn it into 8 yards, 10 yards. Another example here. But again, this is as simple as pitch and catch gets. You recognize the numbers advantage, you spit it out, and take the profit.
Right. And so we move forward in this drive. This is now the 4th and 3 situation here. It's a 10-yard gain to Shakir under 5 minutes. This drive was quite hectic. Josh almost throws an interception when he's trying to hit Diggs on the curl. He almost fumbles it, but they end up with a 4th and 3 situation here because of the hustle of Brown on that fumble. And so this play is just kind of like that mesh traffic play. This is that 10-yard gain to Shakir, and this is our real estate rewind because we want to show it a few times. This is our final real estate rewind presented by Jonathan Miller of Metro Roberts Realty. But I just love the traffic and confusion that it creates because of the eye candy. And let me rewind it to the top of the play, because you see Murray come back into the formation there. Okay, Bolton's on him. That's man coverage. Okay, it's looking good. Now let's get a little more eye candy going. Bring Shakir across. Oh, no, we're going to throw him on the orbit reverse. What happens to McDuffie? He goes this way, and Shakir gets lost in the sauce there, and he's able to pick up the 1st down. Another one of their, throws behind or at near the line of scrimmage that is converted, this time for a 1st down. A big, big play, once again, to Shakir.
Yeah, good use of the pre-snap motion from both Murray and Shakir to really help identify that man coverage piece. And it's really easy once you see what happens with Bolton. Like, Bolton doesn't even come to the box and, push Chenal over. Like, he literally folds right around him and gets lined up square to Latavius Murray. And then you see what happens with McDuffie. And this is such a nice, easy piece. McDuffie gets caught in that traffic. The timing is also good too, right? Like Allen snaps it as McDuffie's momentum is carrying him away from Khalil Shakir. Shakir slams on the brakes right as the snap happens. That's good precision. That's good execution. In addition to that design, McDuffie's completely caught out. And so the only one that gets the chance to make the play is Justin Reed, who has to fall off his man and make the play on Shakir. But by that time, I mean, there's so much space. This is 10 yards on 4th and 3. Just a really great call. And again, presented in a way from Brady, use one of your phrases that you love. This is the play that gave Josh Allen answers because of the pre-snap movement and identification that it lent to Josh Allen so he could make this play.
Yeah, great stuff here in a critical situation. That's why it was our Real Estate Rewind presented by Jonathan Miller of Metro Roberts Realty. Man, Easy Loan Auto Sales, Jonathan Miller. We appreciate you guys sponsoring this show the entire year, and look forward to our partnership in the future. Just awesome work all season, and we picked some good plays that we're gonna have to go back and cut up again for our sponsors. We appreciate them joining us in the film room each and every week.
Absolutely. Major shout out and love and appreciation to Easy Loan Auto Sales and Mr. Jonathan Miller. And again, this segment, Real Estate Rewind, our last one of the year for Mr. Real Estate Agent Jonathan Miller of Metro Roberts Realty. Jonathan uses cutting edge technology to help you sell your home faster. Professional photographs, a 3D virtual tour, drone photos, and videos are all included with each listing at no extra charge. He loves working with buyers and sellers in all price ranges. He donates a portion of his commission from each sale to help rescue an animal. His phone number and information can be found in our episode show notes, whether here on YouTube or whichever podcasting app or platform you are listening to this show on. Again, just to echo what Eric said, major thank you to Mr. Jonathan Miller and to Easy Loan Auto Sales for putting their faith in us and riding with us all year.
Yeah, so good plays from that segment and from our sponsors. We're going to get into this one briefly just because I feel like everyone's had their 2 cents on this. This is the shot call down the field, 2nd and 9.
I hate the dialogue that has resulted from this play and the hindsight of it. I'll save it. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're exactly right. So the progressions and reads are to the top of the screen. 2nd and 9, 2 minutes left here. And generally, they want to hit this stick route to Dalton Kincaid. Again, they ran this a ton under Brian Dable to Cole Beasley here, to Stefon Diggs on this very same drive, early in the drive. I talked about it. It was a near interception. And so they generally want to run this Y option, the Jason Witten play. They want to run into here. And so the Chiefs lock up top, and they're essentially running some form of quarters now with everyone else up here. And specifically, I want to focus in on Connor right here, the rookie safety. And that's who Josh is kind of eyeing down. As Kincaid gets to the top of his route, Josh is looking to Connor, and he kind of pats the ball, takes his hand off the ball, and it gets the reaction that you want. You see him kind of open his hips right there. And so Shakir is now kind of bending this route to the middle of the field, and Josh anticipates the throw, but he's bumped off the line. He's bumped at the top of his drop by Chris Jones on Deion Dawkins. And he's not able to step into this throw, and so it goes incomplete on the play.
Yeah, everybody's saying, oh, we should have taken Diggs and he should have thrown it to Diggs. Like, Allen also checks to this call pre-snap. Like, they get the coverage that they want. Like, everybody alerts. They see what's up. They all communicate. Everybody, yep, alert, alert, alert. Everybody else taps their head and says alert and looks to each other. Like, we see this happen a million times in today's NFL. All the receivers look at each other. Everybody's on the same page. And exactly, you get the look that you wanted. And I love, highlighting, like, the primary read on this. And for me, I'm thinking Allen, it looks like Allen, again, based off the coverage, he wants Shakir all the way. He knows that middle of the field is going to be open. And I love the highlight that you mentioned, like right at the top of his drop, he does that little, I don't know, his little subtle shoulder shimmy, open it up right there, just a little bit. And that causes the slightest hesitation to Kamari Connor. He stops his feet a little bit. It helps Shakir get that leverage and get over the top. If he doesn't get that with Connor, maybe he throws it to Kincaid, who is open on that out route versus Nick Bolton. But at the end of the day, this throw is there. The pre-snap read is why they checked to this play, why they called that alert. Allen wants it the whole way. He is eyeing Shakir. He's eyeballing the safety. He manipulates him a little bit. and sets himself up like for that throw. And we've seen him make this throw before. The reason it doesn't get executed is because Chris Jones drives Deion Dawkins into Josh Allen, and that throw comes up short. This isn't even, and the people throwing like, oh, well, should have gone to Diggs. Like, Diggs isn't even in the progression at this point. Like, Allen is reading that front side piece, and he not even aside from reading the front side piece, he wants Shakir. He knows that route is going to come open, which is why he does what he does to try and manipulate Kamari Connor. It's why he checks to this play, everything. Like, it's there. The problem with it is he gets bumped and the throw falls short. Now, if you want to go and say, I don't like that decision because if they score right here, there's too much time on the clock for Mahomes and all that. That's a whole nother conversation. That is a whole separate topic. But the read here, the decision here was sound. The alert was sound. They got the coverage they wanted for it. Everything kind of played out like Josh Allen wanted to. He just got bumped by Dawkins and the throw fell short.
Yeah, and just look at the helmet of Josh. Look at the eyes of Josh. He's looking to the right side of the screen, down the field, reading high to low. As you said, this is a play down the field. It's a high-low there with Kincaid and Shakir on that safety. They got the coverage they wanted. And you can even see Josh, when he takes his hand off the ball right there, looking, his pads kind of elevate like he's looking up and over. You know, the pass rusher right here is kind of looking up and over still down the field. And so by the time Diggs does come open, if Josh were to bring his eyes down, can he even see Diggs?
Yeah, fair.
Can he even see Diggs? So,
and
again, that's way down the line. Again, this is the last guy in a progression.
Yes.
And you're looking, 30, 40 yards down the field for Josh.
And I also have, because there's two comments here. Xavier says first down has to be the priority. Poor decision from Allen. It is what it is. And then Kevin says basically hero ball Josh.
Nope.
No, this is the read.
Nope.
This is the decision. And everybody who keeps saying like, oh, you know, you should have taken it to Diggs. First of all, it's not guaranteed that he gets the first down. Second of all, you don't know what happens even if they complete it to Diggs. How do you know the next play isn't an interception? How do you know the next play isn't
they almost turned it over twice.
Correct.
They almost turned it over twice on this drive.
You take the points when you can. Like and I understand nobody wanted Mahomes to get the ball back with time and all of these things. But
if it's for a touchdown, if you're scoring a touchdown here, right?
You take the touchdown. You take it and you force them to drive the field.
Yes.
And also, no, bro, this isn't excuses. Like you're yelling into the ether. You are assuming that if he gives this ball to Stefon Diggs, the rest of the drive works perfectly. So what I'm assuming you're thinking is he completes it to Diggs. The Bills keep getting first downs. They waste all the clock. They score a touchdown with 5 seconds left and they win the game. These are all variable assumptions that you have no idea how the puzzle pieces are going to align and fit to make that happen. You cannot guarantee the rest of the drive plays out in the fantasy world that you live in to make everything happen. This was
a lot more things would have to go right.
Yes.
Versus Josh hitting that open receiver if he had a clean pocket here. That's
Absolutely.
one thing. If Dawkins gives him 0.25 seconds more, this is a touchdown. Who knows what happens on the back end? You know, when we're talking closing the game out, which is something that McDermott had rectified going in the back half of this year after the bye. So a lot of things, a lot of ifs, ands, or buts. But in the end, it goes incomplete. And this is a good question. This is a legit question by Biggie Scooby. Appreciate that super chat.
Yeah.
He asked, would Morris or Allen make the call to slide to protection left so McGovern could double Jones instead of Torrance doubling Karlaftis? That's a great question. And my assumption is that Josh would be making that call. But, you know, Dawkins has been matched up with Jones and held up just fine. Now, if it was Jones versus Spencer Brown, I think, you know, those red flags and alerts would have gone up a lot more than having, you know, Dawkins, who's had a tremendous season being matched up versus Jones on this play. But it was only going to be a 4-man rush, just the way they're spacing it. So he had faith that, you know, Dawkins could, you know, hold his own here. Obviously, that doesn't happen. But that's a great question. That's a fair question to have. There's just so many different things that could have gone on in that play. But I have no problem Josh taking that shot when they got the split field look that they wanted to. The exact look. Like you said, they called that alert. That's what they were expecting. Josh got into that play. He got into that second play. They just weren't able to, you know, execute it there because of that pressure.
And here's a great comment from David. He says it looks like the route that Gabe Davis had in the 2021 divisional round for that 4th touchdown. Yep, very similar situation again against this team. That's a throw. Allen likes, he hits it. It works against the coverage. Like, and again, I understand in a perfect world, I would have loved for them to just get another first down and bleed the whole clock and score a touchdown with no time left and everybody's sunshine and rainbows. But there's just so many assumptions with that logic, aside from the fact that they alerted to this and it worked. He just got bumped and it messed with his throw-in mechanics, and it is what it is.
Yeah, let's get to the next play, the final play of this breakdown. Now this play I have an issue with way more than that last play.
I have multiple issues with this.
3rd and 9 here, and Josh takes the snap, and for I don't know, whatever reason, he's looking this way. He's got Murray releasing out. Like, okay, the go route by Hardy, you're not going to throw. Now Murray releases. I would be okay taking that, even if he only gets a few yards. You're helping your kicker a little bit, but at the very least, his eyes should be to the backside of this play against this too high look.
Yep.
He should hit Kincaid. He should hit Kincaid on this levels concept. And again, maybe he doesn't get the first down here. Maybe he doesn't. I mean, Kincaid, if he catches it near the 20, I'm putting money that he is going to get that first.
He's been breaking tackles all game. Like, I like the odds. But again, even if he doesn't, middle of the field, really good position for a field goal.
Clock's running. Maybe the Chiefs have to burn their timeout. Either way, this is the play Josh has to get rid of the ball. Get rid of the ball into the field of play so that the clock does run and all those other things happen on that play. He ends up just bailing the pocket and throwing incomplete. And obviously, the Bills have to trot on Tyler Bass for that field goal.
I agree with everything you said. And I even would have been okay with him throwing it to Hardy. Hardy beats his man. He stacks him. He's got a little bit of a step. The safety on the inside, Deion Bush, is playing super inside. I'm okay if it's a low percentage. I'm okay if he wants to throw it to the front pylon or throw it into the middle of the end zone and hope that Hardy makes a play. And he also looks at him, and I don't know if he does it just to try and manipulate or move some of the coverage, but he sees it, doesn't throw it. Again, I would have even been okay with that. But with you, exactly to your point, like, it's the concept to the left, which he also looks at. He comes off of Hardy, and right there,
throw it.
I don't know why he doesn't throw it. It's another one of those moments going back to the time under Dorsey where you're just like, oh, okay, like, he'll throw it. I really have no idea why the ball doesn't come out here. This is pure profit. There's a chance Kincaid, again, if he catches that there, he's like 2 or 3 yards short of the first down. Maybe he breaks a tackle and he gets it. Worst case scenario, exactly like we said, the clock is running. So the clock either runs, KC has to burn a timeout, and you've given yourself a better opportunity to kick a field goal because you've shortened the distance and you put yourself closer to the center of the field. But again, Kincaid, there's a chance he breaks that tackle. This one was the one that really broke me. Everybody's talking about the play before,
especially coming out of the timeout on that second down.
Right,
like, you called that play. Okay, we get this look. You got to take it, and he took it, and I'm okay with that. But on 3rd down and 9, with the clock stopped, that's when you have to think about using some of that clock up, take that profit, and he didn't. He had done it all game, but he failed to do it there to Kincaid. And like I said, there's a good chance he's converting that.
Yeah,
there's a good chance he's converting that.
It was there. And you also know too, like, timeout, you're coming out of the time, or you're coming out, and this is the play. Like, it's like the coaches are telling you, like Brady is telling you, like, hey, this is where your eyes are going, watch for this, blah, blah, blah. And it's there to Kincaid. I don't know why he doesn't go there. Again, I would have even been, give me that throw to Kincaid because it's there. I would have even been decently okay taking a shot to Hardy. The one thing you shouldn't do is what he did on that play. Again, I'd be cool dumping it down to Murray. See if Murray can do something, anything other than what he did. And again, that doesn't excuse the missed kick. Still should have made that field goal. And then you're still asking, the defense to step up. So that doesn't excuse that. But it should have been there. That play should have had a better result from Allen. And that one is on him. That's a very frustrating play. Because
it's disappointing to, of course, all those layers, but to kind of wrap up this segment and this season, coming out of the bye, the Bills said they worked on 2 things, and that was limiting turnovers. Josh Allen, ton of turnovers prior to the bye, first half of the year.
Yeah.
And as we broke down in the film room, end of game scenarios with Sean McDermott. Josh Allen did a great job of limiting turnovers in the playoffs. Did a great job of limiting it. They fixed that after the bye, did a great job. That's partly why the Bills made the playoffs, took that 2 seed and got 2 home games.
Big time.
You wish we would have seen, and that's why I don't mind that second down shot. You
Yeah.
wish that the Bills would have scored on that play, so then we could have seen McDermott go to work. Even with everything that went wrong with the injuries and the lack of rest, the Bills did a decent job in the fourth quarter against the Chiefs offense. And
Yeah.
so I would have
Definitely
loved to see that opportunity for that defense. It would have been a great story. Again,
Yeah.
maybe Mahomes does drive down there, but those are the things they worked on after the bye, and we didn't get to see that opportunity in this game, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and they had gotten some stuff. I think that's lost too in the performance of the defense. And I know they got bailed out a little bit by, Poyer forced that fumble on Hardman out of the back of the end zone. But think about the drive that came after that, where they get the third down stop and Dorian Williams gets called for pass interference. And what do? They force him to punt 3 plays later, right after that. Like, they answered the call. Like, it's a disappointing end to a season where a roller coaster of a season where they had different trials and tribulations, but they answered a lot of them. They faced adversity and they overcame it. And then the fact that they got the 2 seed, and like we talked about, like, finally Kansas City's coming to your house. And even with all the injuries and the depleted pieces, they still had an opportunity to win this game. But I think this is also a good, like, conversation piece when you play these good football teams, when you're trying to play championship caliber football, sometimes it's 2 or 3 plays in a game that makes the difference. And that one to Shakir was potentially one of them. The one after was one of them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, Craig. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man.
That's awesome. And appreciate the kind words too, Craig. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for the money. And then Craig says, thanks for the great analysis all season, Eric and Anthony. We'll get them next year. Go Bills. Yeah, we as we start to wrap on this season, we hope you folks continue to tune in every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern here in the film room, where we will be grinding on free agency pieces, draft pieces, the what and who you need to know in free agency, leading up to free agency, coming out of it once you get new signings, going into the draft, coming out of the draft. We will have you here locked for the entire offseason as well as we did
Yeah.
season.
And as we get into the draft, keep an eye out. You guys are obviously subscribers to the Cover One YouTube channel. If you're not, smash that like button and subscribe button. But more importantly, a lot of our draft stuff is going to be on the college football channel, the Cover One college football channel, with Draft Weekly and some of the breakdowns that we're doing, X's and O's, film breakdowns. It's going to be on the Cover One college football channel. So next week, when we're at the Senior Bowl, these podcasts, these live breakdowns are all going to be on that channel. So make sure to get to the Cover One college football channel, because we're getting ready to go to Mobile. We're going to be scouting a bunch of those receivers like you guys are talking about, and other defenders down there. Obviously, the Bills need to do a lot of work on that side of the ball too. And just thank you guys so much. It was another great season. Thank you to you guys. Thank you to our sponsors, Easy Loan Auto Sales, Jonathan Miller. It was a fun season. We got to do the highs and the lows. It was a great ride. And we hope that you guys enjoyed these film breakdowns, and, that they provided value to you as a fan, and that you're able to watch the game differently, because that's why we do this. Even during these hard times and these losses, we still enjoy doing it because we're able to teach and drop some little wisdom that we know about the game.
Absolutely. It's I say it all the time. I say it to you all the time, like at least a couple times a year, especially around holidays or just random points. But I'm tremendously thankful to be a part of this brand and to have the platform that I have, like, individually on Disguised Coverage, but then also being part of this show and, just what we're able to do here. And oh, awesome. Another one. Zach of all trades. You're here all the time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the constant support. Thank you for the super chat. And he says, all of Bills Mafia needs to stop critiquing everything and blaming one person or another. We were still close to winning with a battered D. Thanks, boys. Yeah. Zach kind of puts that into perspective and then sums that up really well. And yeah, we wouldn't be able to do this without you folks consistently tuning in, your support, the super chats, the one pass pieces, the likes, the subscriptions, the notifications that you get turned on, anything and everything. So if you're here on YouTube, drop a like, turn on notifications for this playlist in the film room and these episodes. If you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever, rate and review and subscribe. A big thing too, even though with what technology is today, tell your family and friends and loved ones, whether they're football fans, Bills fans, especially if they're Bills fans, tell them about Cover One, tell them about the film room, tell them about this brand. We are, from the ground up, grassroots, anything and everything Buffalo Bills, different levels of analysis and pieces and entertainment stuff, whatever you're looking for, we have you covered here at this brand. Again, we wouldn't be able to do any of this without the support you folks have shown us in season, out of season. We greatly appreciate it. Follow us on Twitter. Eric runs that Cover One handle at covering the number one. His personal handle at Eric J. Turner, and then myself at pro__ant. We will be in Mobile for the Senior Bowl. We know how much the Bills love to grab dudes from the Senior Bowl. There's receivers there. There's a lot of good pieces. Myself, Eric, John and Daniel from Cover One Draft Weekly will be there with us. I'm probably just as excited for the food as I am for the football. It's going to be a good time there. So bang it on Twitter to follow us for all that stuff. But we got to get out of here so Greg can go live. Again, we appreciate all you folks so tremendously much. Thank you for everything in season, out of season. But this ride does not stop. We'll see what happens next week based on us being in the Senior Bowl. But then after that, we'll get back to kind of some regularly scheduled programming and getting you folks right for this offseason. But until then, it's been an awesome season. We appreciate you folks. This will do it for us here in this episode of The Film Room. I'm Anthony Prohaska. That's Eric Turner. We hope you and your family and friends and loved ones are all doing well and staying safe. Be kind to one another. Take care of one another. Godspeed. And as always, go Bills.